Good evening and welcome to Solanco School District Board of School Directors meeting, October 17th, 2022. We're both here live in the administration building, and also we are on our YouTube channel. We'll start with a roll call, please.
Mr. Robinson?
Here.
Mr. Kaufman?
Here.
Mrs. Alsall?
Here.
Mr. Roten?
Here.
Mr. Weimer?
Here.
Mr. Graybill?
Here.
Mr. Prager?
Here.
Mr. Musser?
Here.
Mr. Chubb?
Here. Please stand if you're able to pledge of allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll now take a moment of silence. Okay, thank you very much. I just want to note that the board met in executive session prior to this meeting to discuss personnel items. There was nothing in that meeting that we are going from the agenda tonight, and there'll be nothing that we'll be voting on tonight at this meeting. So we'll move right into presentations. Students of the month.
Good evening. It's great to see all of you. Thanks for coming out. We're thrilled to be able to recognize our secondary students of the month. The students of the month are nominated by teachers for the great example that they're setting for others and just the great things they're doing in classrooms. So just briefly, so students, you know what's going on, when you're student of the month, we will be calling you up here with your nominating teacher, your principal, who will actually read the nominating letter that the teachers wrote, describing all the great things that you've done. In addition, you'll receive this certificate and a gift certificate for a free meal at the Daily Grind. Daily Grind makes a special meal for students of the month, and there's a certificate here for that, plus you receive a t-shirt as well. So with that said, let's start with Solanco High School.
So tonight, the high school is honored to recognize Addison O'Donnell. So Addison, please come on up. Mrs. Bomer has nominated Addison from the agricultural department. Unfortunately, she could not be here tonight, so I'd like to read that letter for you. So, Addison O'Donnell has been chosen as the student of the month. Her dedication, integrity, and passion for the agricultural sciences and FFA have proven her worthy to receive this honor. Addison is current vice president of the Solanco FFA chapter and has been dedicated to her responsibilities of that office since she was elected. She has put forth the time and effort to advance the footprint of the Solanco FFA in the school and community. Her passion for the agricultural sciences has led her to become a servant for her fellow FFA members and community. She is currently taking the Advanced Animal Sciences course, and she has expressed a future career interest in becoming an animal nutritionist. From Mrs. Bomer. So congratulations, Addison. I'd also like to take this time to recognize Addison's family for their dedication and support in Addison. So if you'd also like to stand, we'd like to recognize you.
For the middle level, we'll start with Smith Middle School tonight. I'd like to invite Mr. Jansen and Garrett Allcamp up front.
Good evening. We are I'm representing the Unified Arts team over at Smith Middle School, the specials art, music, PE, health, tech ed, and STEM. And we would like to present Garrett Allcamp, so I'll go ahead and read his letter that was written by our Unified Arts team. The Unified Arts team at Smith Middle School is proud to present Garrett Allcamp as our student of the month. Garrett is a 7th grade student at Smith Middle School and is the son of Nate and Kirby Allcamp. Garrett was chosen by the Unified Arts team at Smith Middle School due to his work ethic, high levels of achievement, and character traits that he has displayed across our subject areas. Our team has been impressed by Garrett's enthusiasm towards school, his polite and respectful demeanor, his eagerness to always help when needed, and the consistency in which Garrett meets our core expectations of respect, responsibility, courage, and kindness. Garrett displays strong integrity, leads by example, and can always be counted on to do the right thing simply because it is the right thing to do. Garrett also has the respect of his peers due to his willingness to include others and help others in the classroom. Garrett takes pride in making his school a better place with his involvement in the Student Senate and in taking the responsibility of raising and lowering the American flag each day outside the building. In addition to academic excellence and achievement, Garrett is a talented athlete competing in both baseball and wrestling. Garrett also enjoys hunting and fishing with his father, working on his bow, and being outdoors as much as he can be with his 3 younger brothers, Weston, Jason, Grady, who are in attendance tonight as well. In addition to outdoor recreational activities, Garrett also completes jobs for others, including splitting wood, mowing yards, mulching, and other landscaping opportunities that help his community and continue developing his strong work ethic. Garrett's future aspirations include pursuing a career in law enforcement or designing bows for Matthews Archery, which I think is a better choice than the all, because then I might get a free bow. Garrett is, without a doubt, an exceptional student athlete and member of our school and community. We are fortunate to have Garrett and his family in our schools and community. We are very proud of Garrett and the young man that he is. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank the board for recognizing all of Garrett's accomplishments and to congratulate Garrett and his family on everything Garrett has achieved thus far.
We can give Garrett a round of applause. And if we can have Garrett's family stand at this time to be recognized also. Moving to Swift Middle School, I'd like to invite Mr. Childs up front, who will have the pleasure to introduce you to Devin Dow tonight. So Devin, come on up.
You're not off the hook. All right, so
There we go, smile.
this is in recognition of Devin Dow. I am STEM over at Swift, and this is on behalf of all the related arts. So like Mr. Jansen, the same thing, PE, art, music, all those. So we would like to recognize Devin Dow as the Swift Middle School Student of the Month for October. Devin is deserving of this honor based on her academic performance as well as her character. Devin is a wonderful example to her peers, consistently demonstrating respect, responsibility, courage, and kindness. Devin is an 8th grade student at Swift. She's shown a tremendous work ethic throughout her middle school experience so far. Devin goes above and beyond in all her related arts classes and strives to do her best in any task. In addition to her own success, Devin's always trying to help out her peers, whether with a project in class or in social situations. She's also a huge help with the life skills students over at Swift. Devin is encouraging to her peers, always seems to have a smile on her face. It's always a joy to have Devin in class, and I know that she will be a positive influence wherever she is. I'm confident that Devin will continue to be both a positive role model and an encouragement to her peers, and that she'll be a responsible member of the community. So congratulations, Devin. And also, thank you for sending us an awesome kid.
And if you could stand up at this time,
Yes.
we'll recognize you as well.
So I do want to offer my congratulations again to the students. You're doing such a phenomenal job and setting a great example. Addison, you'll have one more year, right? But the other two, you're still in middle school, and we're really looking forward to what you're going to be able to do in the next few years at the same time. So I'm proud of you, Dr. Dangler is, and the school board as well. And just looking at your family, they're definitely proud of you as well. So now, next, what we're going to ask in just a minute, if you've been recognized as a Student of the Month, to walk on the inside of the circle here so the board can offer their personal congratulations to you. And then when you're done, Mrs. Miller, it's right there, she's going to be waiting for you in the hall to take your picture for the newspaper and the website and all our social media and things like that. So you'll be famous. At that time, you're welcome to keep on going home or come back into the meeting. That'll be your choice. But our 3 Students of the Month, come on up here.
Good job, congratulations. Congratulations. Great job. Congratulations. Here.
I figured that's how it goes. Thank you very much.
Okay, that's always a great part of this meeting, and we really appreciate all the goings-on that bring those students to us. So at this time, though, we have several audience members. If we have an invitation to speak on any items. So, all right, seeing none, we'll go right to the agenda. And we're going to have an approval of our board minutes for September 19th, 2022, and October 3rd, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or comments? And all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mrs. Tucker, business financial reports. Start with the general fund report.
All right, the general fund, total receipts for the month of September, $6,936,599.20. Total disbursements, $7,414,113.32, resulting in a net reduction for the month of $477,514.12. The balance in the general fund at the end of September was $35,448,238.25.
Okay. Any questions or comments for Mrs. Tucker on the general fund report?
I just had a few questions for Mrs. Tucker. Looking down through them, General Fund 923, page 3, the uniforms, there's $3,100 spent. Was that really all on socks?
It included caps, visors, but the majority of that was socks.
Okay. And is that for all is that for all soccer or?
That's how it was labeled.
It was all soccer? Okay. All right. The OSH Enterprise, Quayhana, is that still grant funded?
100% grant funded.
Okay. I was just
And
making sure.
The payment,
1,500?
that was the result of 4 full-day visits.
Okay. All right, gotcha. On 10.6, page 1, the airborne contamination air test, is that something we do on a normal basis or?
Occasionally, we will have staff that question that maybe they're sick because of something in the facility, so we will have it tested.
Okay.
Just to rule out that it's our location that's causing this staff member to be sick.
Okay. Was that done at Claremont or?
Claremont.
Okay, understood. And I'm assuming, did we get the results of that test then?
And we were okay in the building. It
Okay.
wasn't our problem in the building.
Okay, all right. And the last one was the Stewart Enterprise Nursery. What were they doing for $2,400?
They trimmed a tree and removed the tree.
Okay, so it
This
was
was
just
at
for tree,
Bart.
and that was Bart Coleraine?
Correct.
Okay, all right, great, thank you.
Okay, any other questions or comments from Mrs. Tucker on the general fund report?
Along those lines, on a different check run, but golf polos, was that specific, just for the golf team?
I don't have details to that. I would suspect that that is just the golf team.
How many members and coaches do we have? Anybody know? I'm just curious.
Can't tell you without looking up.
We can get that information to you, Chip.
I was just curious, if we had 70 members, that's $99 per shirt. I was just curious.
I don't know if that included other apparel or equipment
I
supplies.
was just curious.
Any other questions or comments from Mrs. Tucker on the general fund report? Then I would like to have a motion to approve the general fund report as stated.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Capital Project Fund, Mrs. Tucker.
Okay, total receipts for the month of September in the Capital Project Fund, $11,551.11. Total disbursements, $813,081.17, resulting in a net reduction for the month of $801,530.06.
Question, Sandy, just on our debt, we are on schedule. We are on schedule as
Correct.
scheduled, and there's no, with interest rates going up, we're locked in.
We are locked in.
Yeah, just,
That's great.
yeah.
Yeah, locked in, yeah, nice rates.
And we are, I forget what our end date is on that, 2028, 29?
I believe it's 28, so 27.
Okay, thank you.
Are the investments short-term? The investments that we have in?
Most are below a year.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Okay, any other questions or comments from Mrs. Tucker? Then I'd like a motion to approve the Capital Project Fund report.
So
So,
moved.
second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, cafeteria report, Mrs. Tucker.
Okay, total receipts for the month of September for the cafeteria fund, $62,586.83. Total disbursements, $112,588.13, resulting in a net reduction for the month of $50,001.30. The balance at the end of September in the cafeteria fund was $1,506,676.33.
How are we staffed across our cafeterias? Are we staffed pretty well, or are we fully staffed?
At this point.
Okay.
Any other questions or comments from Mrs. Tucker on the cafeteria report?
Sandy, are we seeing a large increase on food cost coming in? Do you know off the top of your head?
I cannot tell you that. I have
All
not
right.
spoken to Mr. Kirchhoff for a while.
Yeah.
I should know from other reports, is that a typical balance? 1.5?
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Then I would like to have a motion to approve the cafeteria report.
So moved. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Mrs. Tucker, again, the Act 57 resolution.
Okay, this is a recent legislative action. It requires school districts to waive the penalty on real estate taxes for certain scenarios. There are different dates associated with this act. It was signed into law July the 11th, and it goes into effect October the 9th, so it went into effect then, 90 days from when it was approved. And school boards must pass this resolution by January the 7th of 2023. We will not take any action on it until we issue our tax bills July 1st of 2023. So it's kind of a timeline here of when this takes action. What it is for is to waive the additional penalties on real estate taxes for homeowners or property owners that did not receive their tax bill because maybe a new owner took ownership of the property during that tax year, so the records haven't caught up with the new owner, or it was lost in the mail, or whatever reason. The property owner has 12 months from taking ownership of that property to request a waiver of the penalty on their taxes. It does not waive the tax, just the extra penalty and interest that would be accumulated on that since they did not pay it by the normal time frame. The taxpayer must provide documentation that they own the property and the date of the property transfer. If it is a mobile home, they have to provide title of owning the mobile home, and then also a lease agreement as far as if they are leasing the property on which this mobile home is located. And then the taxpayer must make full payment at face value with this request. There is a form that has been developed by the Pennsylvania Department of Community and Economic Development, and it is this waiver here. It's very simple, just request the 4 things that I just itemized. That is then sent to the school district with payment, and then we are to waive those penalties. So it's really a pretty simple process, but it is up to the taxpayer or the property owner to provide the documentation to us as proof that they qualify for this.
Is that going to have any impact on, like, do you see that being a large impact?
I do not.
Okay.
I do not.
Yeah, it should be a rarity, and we would sure hope so. One thing we don't need is more burden on our business office, but legislation is legislation. So, any other comments or questions for Mrs. Tucker on the Act 57 resolution? Then I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Okay, a motion is requested to approve disposal of the attached obsolete textbook library books, and Dr. Dangler will describe that to us.
So the list that is attached there is a list of books to be culled. Many of them are from the library. There's various reasons as to why those books are culled. Typically, the librarians will look at those books for checkout to see how often they are checked out, to see whether or not kids are actually using those books or pulling those books out. Some of them are due to age, so you'll notice some of the dates, the published dates are older in terms of 1930s, 40s, 50s in terms of publication dates. Doesn't necessarily make them bad books, just they do become obsolete over time because the information that's in them sometimes is so outdated that it's changed quite dramatically. And others that are listed there are books that you would be able to find information on currently electronically. So many of the encyclopedias, they also tend to be a little older, so they're 10 years plus, typically dictionaries, thesaurus, reference books that are also there. So the entire list is actually presented to an individual to a company in order to see if they'd be willing to buy any books, so textbook buyback companies, in order to see if they would be willing to purchase any of those books. We then, after exhausting that avenue, then move to our public and to our community, and actually offer those books to our community, that they can come in, review those books, and take what they would like before we would then get rid of whatever is left. So we would ask for a motion to approve the list of books that are there, and happy to answer any questions if you have any on anything.
Are these books currently on the shelving, like as we sit now?
They are currently pulled. So when you see it, it says removed
Right.
from circ.
How
removed from
long would it?
circulation.
How long does it take us to bring new books in to fill them spots?
So it depends each year. Generally, the library would actually look at, or the librarians themselves would actually look at lists that they would get. Some of them are through our partnership with the Lancaster Lebanon IU. Again, trying to leverage cost with regards to some of those texts, but they would look to bring in books that are of interest to kids currently, in terms of books that they may be requesting, in terms of putting on the shelves.
And that's something you oversee?
So that's a process that would actually move through. So our librarians, our lead librarian, would also oversee that process in terms of that list, in terms of what would be coming in.
So is that under policy? Is that under policy of some sort of how we introduce new books into our libraries? So
It
you can look
is.
somewhere.
The number is escaping me at the very given moment,
It's
but
okay, I
it
don't,
is.
you know, it's just
I'll
so.
also add, when we renovated or reconfigured the high school and the middle school libraries, we eliminated a lot of the book stacks.
Right.
Because it looks different now. They didn't need all the books, so they were all moved to the outside, and there were a number of books that were just pulled. So there are fewer print books.
But our policy is that our librarians are choosing books, and there's an oversight, some sort of an oversight. Look at that, look at those, I mean, like, do they come to you, Dr. Dangler, and say, okay, these are the list of books, and you give a final approval, or how do we handle that?
So generally, the library books are reviewed by our lead librarian for appropriateness. So they would
Right.
look through those, depending upon the number of books that are coming in. They would be done through different ILLC or library releases on the text or on the book that does come in terms of that particular text or that particular book that would be in. At that point, then they would then go into the circulation and onto the shelves of our library at that particular point. I'm just looking for the number. It's 109, policy 109. And in that, it actually, I'll just quote that
Go ahead,
particular,
yeah.
specifically, librarians, lead teachers, supervisors, and teachers have been charged with the responsibility of identifying, ordering, organizing materials, and providing qualified professional service to students. Examples are librarian responsible for recommending selection of books, materials, etc. used in the library.
So a teacher could bring a book in, suggest a book, but there's still someone, a librarian, that would check off and say, yes, we will accept that book, or we will get that book.
Correct.
Yeah, I guess it's just a little hard for me. We vote to get rid of books, but we don't really get the choice of the books coming in. I mean, that's where I'm just saying, it's just a little.
So you have a challenge process.
Yeah.
Right.
Spelled out in policy. And curricular books taught in classrooms.
Yeah,
That
no,
we
yeah, we
require.
get the classroom books.
Yeah.
But to be able to challenge a book, we'd have to know what's coming in. Correct. I mean, if there was a challenge, we would have to know, and there's no way of, like, there would be no way of us knowing until it's an issue. You know, when there's an
Or is there a
issue-
list available? Is there a list of incoming books, or does that happen,
After
you know,
the
a
fact.
few at a time kind of thing?
Typically, they don't come in a mass rush. It's usually they're brought in towards the beginning of the year when a lot of times when they're doing these kinds of obsolete book lists, when those things when they're going through, they're really just culling down the room on their shelves. Just because they take books out doesn't necessarily always mean that they replace one-for-one
Yeah.
books back in
Right,
either.
right.
Especially
Right,
some
so-
of maybe the reference books, things that are.
Correct.
Where all the information's online.
Online
not
already.
necessarily
A lot of those, if you look at them, they're like Encyclopedia Britannica or other Birds of North America, things that you could probably find more up-to-date information on online.
Well, I mean, honestly, the questions are coming because there's concern in the community and on the board about the types of books that are in the library, so. You know, to just.
No, and I don't have any complaint, I just, you know, in general, you see across the board, and you just, okay, so what kind of policy do we have, how do we operate? That's, you know, that's the
So
reason.
that would be policy 109 under that
Right.
resource materials.
Right.
Addressing Justin's concerns about voting to remove books is no different than any other equipment, or it's still taxpayer-funded inventory. And the purchase of books then is through another process, through the budget.
It would be through budget.
So it's all, you know.
Now, or not while we're on, is every book we have, like, are they all taxpayer funded, or do we get donations from different organizations and like different outlets and everything? Like IU, do they, or is that all still?
Well, we would have had donations from like the foundation, but for elementary
Okay.
books and such like that. But I will tell you, every once in a while, somebody donates and
Yeah.
we don't accept.
Like-
We have eyes
Yeah.
on,
Yeah.
you know.
And like in like these books here, are we able to donate some of these back to the community, like if they don't go through, like, yeah,
That's the next step of this. So the
We've
next step
done
would
that.
actually be to
okay, give back.
give back to
Yeah.
the, like, open up to have community come in and literally take what they want,
Yeah.
as many as they want. Yeah.
Yeah, so if we can repurpose them,
Yeah.
That's
no, I
the
agree.
best.
Yeah.
that's the best option. So,
Thank you.
okay. And did we get to the vote part yet? Okay. Then I'd like a motion to approve the list of obsolete books.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, student reports, Mrs. Tucker, again, student activities.
Okay, student activities for the fourth quarter of 21-22. Total receipts for that quarter, $74,757.71. Total distributions, $95,830.17. An ending balance on June 30th of 2022 was $141,532.83. And then if you could pull up the annual summary for 21-22. Total receipts for the year for the Student Activity Fund, $168,666.48. Total distributions, $169,350.36, with an ending balance of $141,532.83. This is a reduction from the beginning of the fiscal year of $683.88. And then the first quarter of the 22-23. Total receipts, $16,902.51. Total distributions, $13,516.38. Ending balance on September 30, $144,918.96, and this is an increase from July 1st of $3,386.13. Just to add some perspective here, before COVID hit, we had total receipts during the 18-19 fiscal year of $463,605. Total disbursements of $333,916, and then an ending balance of $129,689. So the activity, of course, shrank during COVID. It's starting to come back now. We do tend to maintain a very solid balance throughout the years, approximately between 122,000 and 145,000. Regulations state that what students earn in a fiscal year, they should spend in that fiscal year. Since they earned it, they should benefit from it.
How does, like, with the athletic programs and everything, like uniforms, is that generally, I'm just trying to think back when I played many years ago. Is that more or less, are we funding that, or is that more or less Booster Club funded stuff?
We are, and I will get into that when
Oh, then,
I do the
I'm
athletic
sorry.
fund.
I guess I skipped one ahead.
I'll move to that next then. Any additional questions as far as the student activity fund? Okay. All right, then for the fourth quarter of 21-22, total receipts $160. Total disbursements, $205,883.84, resulting in net expenditures, which is funded by the general fund, of $205,714.84 just for that quarter. And then for the entire 21-22 fiscal year, total receipts for the year, $43,697.45. And that is comprised primarily of gate receipts, admissions and attendance. Total expenditures for the athletic fund for last school year, $951,406.90, resulting in net expenditures, which is funded by the general fund, $907,709.45.
Quick question, does the boys and girls basketball gate receipts include the holiday tournaments that we've been doing? Did we do one last year? A Christmas tournament?
That depends if it is sponsored by the athletic program itself or is if a booster.
Right.
And I don't have it.
versus.
Yeah. Many times they're sponsored by the boosters.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay, and then the first quarter of the 22-23 school year. Total receipts, $15,822.01. Total expenditures, $242,900.82, resulting in net expenditures, which are funded by the general fund, $227,078.81. And just to give you some perspective of the athletic fund, pre-COVID, during the 18-19 fiscal year, total net expenditures were $896,222. So they increased approximately 1.3% for the last 21-22 fiscal year, which wasn't too bad.
Yeah, no, I think we're doing well there as far as keeping expenses intact with things listed here.
We talked about the uniform replacement cycle.
Yeah.
Don't want to talk about it?
We had a question about it. Oh, no, I was just curious, like with uniforms, are we funding that, or is that more like the booster club?
Uniforms are coming out of general fund dollars, yes.
They're on a cycle.
They're on a cycle,
So
yeah.
that you don't hit with a large expense one year.
Yep.
It's a replacement cycle.
Thanks.
Speaking of that cycle, the band uniforms will be on it.
Well, we're looking, we're looking to see if we can add band uniforms to this replacement cycle because band uniforms have changed in the last few years. Because prior, more of a traditional look, really, really expensive. But now with the way shows are, it's become more in line with an athletic uniform, so we would like to get to that point. We've been talking about it and talking to our band director as well about including that on the, so that's in the works.
Do you know off the top of your head how old these uniforms are?
They're old, but to purchase them originally, I think was over six figures. But things have changed now, the way fabrics are sublimated and interchangeability, so we've been on this. So we're hoping to have something to you at some point this year.
Chip, I believe I wore 'em. I wore 'em.
Oh, you wore them. What instrument did you play?
I mean, that was only 5 years ago, though,
Okay.
No, saxophone.
That's what I played.
So they're on the older side. I'm glad you're looking into it. That's a good
I
thing.
had a parent mention that at a recent football game, but I didn't
knowing
So
what they were.
it's something we'd like to do. We need to make sure it's budgetarily fits in our cycle and such. But how they're purchased is much different than they would have been. I mean, there for a while, districts were selling their used uniforms and other districts buying them in the more traditional looking ones. But they've changed recently, which I think is going to be favorable. I think the kids will like them too.
Okay, any other questions or comments on the student reports as presented? Then we would need a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Mrs. Tucker again, the Swift Middle School, High School Central Plant Upgrade Bid Tabulation.
Okay, so we had a bid opening last week for the central plant. So this is the chillers and then the installation fees associated with installing the chillers. So we broke it out into the mechanical construction and electrical construction. We received 4 bids for the mechanical construction. We bid both of these projects as the contractors bidding just for the high school, presenting a bid just for Swift Claremont. And then also, if they wanted to tackle both projects, then that was another bid. So it was 3 separate bids that each of these contractors provided to us. So based on what was presented to us, we are proposing that the mechanical construction bid be awarded to Lugala Mechanical Incorporated. Their total bid, which is the base bid C for the high school and Swift Middle School Claremont, is $1,620,000. And you will note there that they are providing us a discount to do both of those projects together, a discount of about $140,000. For the electrical construction, we received 3 bids: Hirneson, McCarty and Son, and Pagoda Electrical. And for that, again, we are proposing that the award be given to Hirneson for bid C, where they are doing both projects together. And that bid award is for $177,350. And with that, there was no multi-project discount, but the award came in pretty low. So just to give you perspective of that, we did purchase the chillers separately, if you will remember, $504,900. So then the construction costs are for the services, the installation, and then the additional pumps and other equipment and supplies and the time then to complete that project. So the total amount for both of these projects of just the central plant upgrades is $2,302,250. Now, I pulled up the estimates provided by the engineer as far as the total HVAC upgrade in these buildings. So for the high school, the estimate was about $10 million to upgrade that whole building's HVAC system. So this part of that total upgrade is about 16%. And then for Swift Claremont, the total estimated cost for that was about $10 million. And that's both of the buildings, Swift and Claremont. So this is about 10%. The mechanical and electrical is about 10% of the estimated cost of that total project. Any questions on that?
And just to be clear, all ESSER funding? Correct or no?
Yes, both of these, well, no. The high school may not be totally ESSER funded.
This purchase, though?
Yes.
Okay.
These,
Yes.
yes.
From
This
the 10
bid.
million, part of that is not ESSER funded, correct? That's what you're saying. Part of the entire amount.
Of the correct. Not all of that may be ESSER funded because some of that's going to be pushed out a year or so. But this piece is 100% ESSER funded.
Do the funds come in as we need them, or do we pay for it and then get reimbursed later?
Normally with the grants, you pay and then you seek reimbursement.
And will that work for us in our budget?
Yes.
Okay, any other questions or comments from Mrs. Tucker on the central plant upgrades at Swift Middle School and the Solanco High School? Then I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And we'll move into personnel report. Dr. Bliss.
Personnel report is there for your review. I want to point out 7.1.1, Billy Corbin, our principal at Providence, is resigning on November 18th. He's got a little one at home. Did such a good job for us. He will be missed, but I told her as well, I have nothing but gratitude for such a great job that she did for the students at Providence. We're in process now of collecting applications and interviewing for replacements, and we do wish Billy the best. We also have 7.4, moving on the professional pay scale. That's by contract. As teachers earn certain graduate credits or graduate degrees, by contract specifies at what time they move on the scale. So there's that. Be glad to answer any questions anybody has.
Just to reiterate, thanks to Billy. Big shoes to fill. Appreciate all the time and expertise that she shared with our students.
You speak for all of us.
Yeah, from the entire board, I'm sure. We appreciate everything she has done for us and wish her all the best. Okay. Any other questions or comments on the personnel report? Then I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Next is the updates for the Lancaster 11 IU13, which is myself, the Lancaster Academy, Lancaster County Academy, which is Mr. Musser, and the CTC, which is Justin, and I'll start. Unfortunately, I was not present at our last meeting, and from the review of the meeting, nothing spectacular to report. Again, IU13 just does a wonderful job of taking care of our special needs students, as well as other items through the consortiums that provide us programs and savings across the board. And it's just a good process that they go through, and works well for us all. Mr. Musser.
So just a couple updates from Lancaster County Academy. First, we do have a little bit of a challenge. We currently sublease from Central Penn College in Bridgeport. They have a building there. Highs owns that building. Central Penn is leaving that building, which means that we need to find a new home for LCA East. We're currently looking for those buildings. So at this point, December, we're going to try to narrow it down to be between 2 or 3 options. February, get into agreement negotiations. April, agree, and then finally June, we'd be moving to get ready for the next year. So a little bit of a challenge there at this time, but we'll get through it.
Are you good for the end of the school year?
Yes, yeah. So we'll start in September of next year, 2023. We'll start in our new building. So we're currently looking at areas, and we're trying to really pay attention to that rent, because to keep the cost down to all the school districts that are involved. So we're working on that right now. Right now, we're currently serving 49 students. We currently only have 2 at this point. That's because 3 did withdraw, and we had 2 that graduated. And here is the highlight of that. We have one that graduated, is now in Liberty University. She went on to college after that. So I appreciate having this opportunity for a student to go through to even get to college after that. So appreciate the support there. So that's all I have, Craig.
Mr. Warren?
At our last JOC meeting, we had our superintendent board member dinner, which was provided by the students at the VOTEC. And I definitely want to give Dr. Bliss credit on that, because I believe you were probably only 2 or 3 superintendents out of 16 schools that showed up.
Maybe,
Yeah, I think 3's being giving a little much. I think there was only 2. So it was really nice that we represented Solanco well at that for the VOTEC dinner. A couple different things we looked at updating is for our shop class, we got a new wheel balancer for our nursing and medical program. We just purchased a surgical resistant laser. I don't know what that is, I'm going to be honest, but it sounds pretty impressive. That was a couple things, and then one of the things is we did vote on the PSBA officers for the upcoming year. And then I got informed that I will also be serving on a new committee that we started, which is the State Support Legislative Committee. So I'm just kind of finding out what that's all about, but a little bit excited to get involved in that.
That's great.
So that's pretty much it.
Talk
You do
about
know how the-
cyberwire there.
Yeah.
You know how the JOC sitting superintendent is chosen, correct?
Is chosen.
Yeah.
I have not sat through that process
The
yet.
JOC.
You don't need to.
The JOC
You do not
chairman.
need to tell them that, yeah.
School district superintendent. Is,
Oh, no, yes. Yes. I volunteered, but they said I had to be there for a full year before I could do that.
Full year?
I'm only there 10 months, so you're safe. Sorry, I'm following you now, I got you now.
So don't ever volunteer.
I just want to say, Brian, that success story from the Lex Academy, that's a great,
Yeah.
a great ending or
Outcome.
outcome for that. Yep.
Absolutely.
Yeah, very good. Okay. Next, we'll move into Dr. Dangler's reports on the curriculum and elementary and school sizes and so forth.
So the class size reports are attached, just a few updates. I did a couple of analyses on these numbers to take a look at, give you some point of reference between where we were in June to where we are now. So October 1 is kind of that magical number that we oftentimes target, where we have enough of our students settled, where we feel we can get a good read on our attendance in terms of where it is, both for our buildings as well as other buildings that we're also responsible for tracking, such as private school, our schools, et cetera. So currently, if we look at the number from June of 2022 to the current number that we're sitting at October 1, we actually have a +9 in that number. So we are at currently 3,105 on October 1st, total students that are in our schools here at Solanco. And that is 9 higher than we were in June. But just to give you a retrospective as well, I also like to look October over October. So from last October 1st to this October 1st, we're actually down by 1 student. So just, again, kind of watching those numbers, because we do see movement throughout the year of our students, both in and out. So these are net numbers. It does, there could be many moves in as well as many moves out that kind of bring that number to us. A couple other numbers just to look at. SVA is another number that we look at. So from last June till now, October 1, we're actually down 81 students in our SVA. That number actually is not that striking, though, when we look at the October number to the October number. So when we look at that, we're actually up by 9 students. So October last year to October of this year, we actually have 9 more students in the program. We tend to see an uptick as the year goes on of those students. So looking at June, usually we're at our highest point. To October, it's still a little bit low as it's the start of the year. So we see some movement that occurs throughout the year on that. A few other numbers. Homeschool, again, looking at June to this current October, we are down 18 students overall, but year over year, October 1 last year to October this year, we are down 4 students. So Again, there's movement in that homeschool number as well. If we look at our private parochial schools from June of last year till now, we've increased by 9 students in that number. And year over year from last October to this October, we've actually increased by 23 students. So that's actually a larger gain in terms of the number of students that we are seeing going to private parochial schools that reside here in our district. And lastly, the cyber charter numbers, if we were to look at this past June's number to now, we are actually down 16 students in cyber charter. Year over year from last October to this October, we are down 2 overall in terms of that number. But again, that's a number that's pretty fluid throughout the year and certainly can move. Happy to answer any questions on those in terms of where numbers may be fluctuating, or if you have any specific groups that you wanted to look at from those reports.
Yeah, Rob, on SVA, when these kids hit high school, that number just spikes.
Yes.
What's the reason for that, do you think? Do you know?
What we generally see is that specifically in terms of online learning for students, younger learners, that's really not a medium that many younger learners do very well in. And so the typical instructional methodology or modality for younger learners tends to be more front and center with our teachers. As kids get older and move through the ranks, especially at high school, we oftentimes see them taking SVA courses. Many times it's to solve scheduling conflicts or issues, or they want to open up time in their day where they can actually fill in with other kinds of coursework that they want to take. So they kind of remove those courses out of the way, such as dual enrollment or other pieces. It doesn't account for all of them. But again, I think oftentimes what we see is that as a child gets older, that willingness, desire to kind of want to be a little more independent in learning and not necessarily front and center in the classroom is greater.
Can you describe, Rob, like the difference between what you see with students doing SVA versus the charter cyber? And what are the demographics? I mean, obviously, high school students, the same thing, cyber charter. What are the reasons people are making decisions on the cyber charter versus the SVA or vice versa?
Again, many times in the cyber charter arena specifically, I think they are families that would prefer to have their students at home. Maybe they don't feel comfortable homeschooling them, or they don't have the ability to homeschool them. So the cyber charter, I think, offers them an opportunity because cyber charters have really shifted their instructional strategy and style. They used to be very much asynchronous, like our SVA courses are currently, meaning there's not a teacher teaching in real time to those students. But now what I see from cyber charters is I see more synchronous kinds of learning. I also see that takes away some of the flexibility that families and students have, and because of that, students will leave a cyber charter as well and come over to our SVA, because it is asynchronous with teacher support that can be scheduled, but it does offer them that ability to kind of be able to do it on their schedule. They're not locked in at 11 o'clock. I need to be on the computer to do math, for example. So that's what I see as in terms of those pieces. I see many cyber charters moving more towards a synchronous model. As they do, though, it really does begin to lock up that schedule and makes it look kind of like traditional schooling, brick and mortar schooling. Maybe I shouldn't call it traditional. Brick and mortar schooling, where
some parents will
it's just
the
that
discipline of that.
home
Other
parents
will
versus
say no, or other kids will want the flexibility. Okay, gotcha.
yeah. So I mean that is one reason. I think there's a myriad of reasons as to why people choose it. That's one.
Yeah, we spent a lot of time for over a decade and a half really just looking at that, and it's complex. There's a lot of different reasons. Sometimes we have a family, they're in a cyber charter, they move into our district and they maintain that continuity even though we reach out. We found that's a portion. Plus, you sometimes see, especially junior, senior year, some of the cyber charters have fewer graduation credits required for graduation. So we kind of see an uptick in those upper grades as well. So like Rob said, there are many different things contributing to that. From our end, we keep enhancing our programming and providing as much flexibility as possible and trying to respect parent choice as much as possible. That's why we have so many of our students in kind of modified programs in our district, and it works out. I would also just like to add that Dr. Shelby Stuman's demographic predictions are
Dead on.
pretty solid right now.
Dead on.
In terms of what he was saying. And it's also very interesting, if you look at the Amish student numbers per grade, it kind of equals, it's K to 8 obviously, but same size district almost, looking at those numbers. But, I'm glad to see the demographic reports in line with what we're actually seeing. That helps us make good decisions at the board level.
How are the ESL numbers? Are they staying constant?
So from June to October, I do have that number. We've actually we had 0 increase, so we're even. We're the same number. Year over year, we're down 7, but we definitely see that fluctuation. October tends to be a month where we have a lot of move in, move out, and we tend to see more of an uptick as November, December, January hits. Is where we see those numbers begin to climb again.
So staffing-wise, we're able to handle what we have.
We are, and if you recall, we actually have a third teacher, a ESL teacher, on board.
Okay.
Yeah, I did that presentation to the board last year.
Okay.
And we looked at, we looked at
Process.
approving it, so.
We're keeping our eyes on that, but right now we're in
Yeah,
good shape.
so we're up to 3 teachers now in that program.
One more, LEP, what does that stand for again?
Limited English Proficiency,
Okay.
LEP. So that's our ESL learners.
Yes, it should be ESL learners,
Okay.
Exciting.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Dr. Dangler on the class size reports? And brain freeze, is that a motion we need to approve that report?
No.
No.
Okay, that's just for information only.
Yep.
Okay, and then administrative reports are there. The superintendent's report and the assistant superintendent report that you can read at your leisure. And that'll take us to dates to remember.
Dates to remember, just to point out this Monday, we have a building committee meeting. So we'll meet activities building at 5.
Yeah.
Outside the activities building, wear your shoes that you can get them muddy if you want. We're going to walk some fields and look at some different things and look at some things in the building, but we'll actually have a building committee meeting at 6 o'clock in the LGI room at the high school, as well as on the building committee or anybody else. November 7th, agenda meeting. November 11th, in-service day, parent-teacher conferences. We have another meeting on the 21st, and then we have Thanksgiving holiday here on the calendar already, so.
Okay, any other questions or comments on dates to remember for Dr. Bliss or? Okay. Any comments for the good of the order from the board? Any comments or statements to be made that you want to bring out? Now would be a good time. Okay, hearing none,
I got 2.
go ahead.
Had the chance to get to a lot of sports here lately, and I was at the girls' soccer game, the varsity, and thanks to Coach Jansen, the way the girls play and the integrity that they have, and all of our sports do, something to be for Solanco to be proud of.
Yep.
Really, they play really well. So just want to put that out there. And then the second one, Dr. Bliss, I don't know if you want to read this or if you want me to read it, but it's from the
Go ahead,
parent.
because you have it, yeah. About the,
So, I just wanted to read this. We all got this already, but I wanted to do this publicly as well. It was a letter from a parent, and it said, "My son graduated from Solanco High School. He accredits Tony Mendez for his career in film and video. While in high school, he discovered he loved filming and editing. The TV studio and the filming part of the studio helped him to decide his course for college. He graduated from Penn State main campus from the College of Communications. He worked at Penn State TV station after he graduated. He moved to Florida, where he now works for Comar Production Company. He travels the country filming the PGA golf tournaments and making commercials. He also has his own production company in Dallas, Texas. He owes his career and his dream to Solanco High School, Tony Mendez, and the TV studio. It does make a difference in our students' lives. I think that speaks volumes to what we were, even before COVID, what our initiatives were going forward. And our initiatives were, we were putting the money in the classrooms, not necessarily the buildings. And right here is an absolute outcome of what our initiatives were. So I think as we go forward here and new initiatives arrive, I think we need to keep going in that direction, because we're affecting students and their outcome of their lives. So I think it's just important to put out there.
And we do have several irons in the fire right now for good things that are coming up that'll be brought out hopefully in the near future. But that's a good.
It is.
Yeah, it is. And so you hit 2 out of the park today. Yep. So, okay. Anything else from the board? I'd just like to thank the board for perfect attendance tonight. It's always great to have the conversations and the discussions that we have to lead this district onto good things. So we will need an executive session tonight. We had one prior to this meeting for personnel. We're going to have an executive session tonight to discuss Act 44, which is security and safety. So I would like a motion to adjourn this meeting and go into executive.
So moved. Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. This meeting's closed. I should mention